The Earth Force's prototype mobile weapons. Father, I know you betrayed us all! Huh?
Hello, and welcome to the first episode of It's a Gundam! I'm your host, Jeremy.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Zach.
If you listen to our other podcasts, that's the exact same order. We should have switched it up for this one.
Why would we bother?
This podcast is going to be my attempt to deal with my frustrations with Gundam Seed Destiny. That's basically the entirety of the point of it.
Yeah,
But to get there, we are going to do an episode-by-episode recap of every episode of Gundam Seed, and then every episode of Destiny, and hey, if it's popular, maybe we'll keep going.
Me and Tyler are here to just point and laugh at Jeremy's problems with the series.
And I've never seen Seed, although you watch all of them, right, Zach?
I own all of Seed.
Yeah, so.
I don't own Destiny.
And that's apparently a good thing, so.
Destiny isn't terrible. It's incredibly disappointing.
It isn't terrible until the 25th episode.
It's your son who was going to get a law degree and dropped out right after he got his bachelor's.
What do you get a bachelor's in when going for a law degree?
Usually
Arts?
pre-law.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
Okay, well, I learned something today.
So speaking of pre-law, and since we were just talking about, you haven't seen Gundam Seed, Tyler, which is going to be exciting.
I haven't.
I like it a lot.
I
But what
know.
Gundam series have you seen?
G Gundam.
Come on, you were a kid in the 90s. You must have seen some Gundam Wing.
Okay, so I saw like one episode of Gundam Wing where like Heroes threatening Relena, is that her name?
That sounds like an episode of Gundam Wing, yeah.
Relena?
At gunpoint. And I'm like,
This totally
that
sounds
doesn't
like
narrow it down.
I'm like, this seems like a thing I should watch. And then I like didn't get to watch it for like a week because I was like doing stuff after school or something. And then I picked up again. I'm like, I have no idea where this is. So I just never actually watched Wing, even though everyone else was. Because of that, Wing was my first one that I ever saw. I'm like, you know, this giant robot thing seems like a good idea, even though I never actually watched any of the episodes. And at the time, I was playing through like every Super Nintendo game ever made. So I played a lot of Gundam Wing Endless Duel, which is a 2D fighter with...
And that's like one of your favorite fighting games, right? Certainly among anime-inspired ones.
Probably among anime-inspired fighting games. It's high on the list, although it's not a very good one. It's the one I spent the most time on. Probably.
Heavy Arms OP.
That's a different game.
Yeah, that's
really?
a different game. That's Gundam Battle Assault 2.
Oh, okay.
One thing I love about Gundam is that it's giant robots, and they make a lot of good giant robot games, so...
Well, yes, we're going to get to why that is shortly.
So I played a lot of Endless Duel, which has basically no story, so I had no idea who any of these people were. But because I liked that game so much, I ended up playing a bunch of other games, and eventually ended up playing Journey to Jaburo, which is a, like, 3D fighting game that goes...
Fighting game, I don't know if that's accurate. It's
3D brawler, maybe?
like it's like a Mech Warrior game, but it's almost closer to Battletech, the tabletop game, because it's slow. You've got to hit your enemy a bunch of times. You've got really limited thrust.
You have to plan your attacks out.
That's Mech Warrior.
You have limited ammo. It's a lot of fun, except you can also fly. But Journey to Jaburo documents like the first major arc, maybe the first two major arcs of the original Gundam.
I'd say the first half of the series. Encounters in Space, the sequel, does the rest of the series.
Oh, that's such a bad game.
And the Gundam Seed game is, like, I like it a lot. I actually considered us doing it, like, to kick off this podcast, but then that would spoil the entire story, so I decided against it.
So I played Journey to Jaburo. I tried to watch the original Gundam, and it's just awful. So I ended up getting all the story of the original Gundam through playing games.
Which I think is the way to do it, to be honest.
I really enjoyed doing it that way. I'm familiar with almost every Gundam series. I've just never actually bothered to watch any of them, but like I know almost all the characters and all the suits. And I decided I like Gundam a lot more than Mazinger just based off of suit design. So,
well, Mazinger has like 3 suits.
Yeah. Actually, I work with a guy who's like probably 20 years older than me, who is just like devoted Mazinger and just will not touch Gundam. So,
It's like how Battletech and Robotech nerds are.
Yep.
Gundam is kind of an answer to Mazinger, like even like the guy who made it was frustrated with it. But before we get to that, Zach, what's your experience with Gundam?
I've actually seen all of Gundam Wing. I own Gundam Seed and seen Destiny all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces of the first Gundam series. I've played a bunch of Gundam games, although does Dynasty Warriors Gundam count?
Yes. No, that'll like teach you some pilot names and show you some mech designs.
That's true. I've seen a lot of them just because of that. Like, I'm familiar with Turn A, which is not something I've ever encountered.
Didn't you watch 08th MS Team too?
I've seen all of 08th MS Team, which I really enjoy. It's quite a good series. Unfortunately, it's really short and out of print, like every other Gundam series.
It was on Netflix for a while, like Netflix streaming. Even. I don't know if it still is.
I got it from them. That's where I saw it. I got it on discs when they were still doing that as one of their major things. And I've seen all of Gundam G Gundam. Sorry, I got those backwards.
Mobile Fighter G Gundam.
Yeah, Mobile Fighter G Gundam. God, that's a terrible series.
It's not even. It's not
so
though.
fun though.
But yeah.
George!
Kyoji!
Also, he's a clone who's apparently German. I don't know how that works. And a ninja.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
think
a
about it
German
too hard.
ninja who fights in the Sahara. I don't understand that character.
Part of the reason why I'm so fond of giant mechs killing each other. Like, I'm a BattleTech nerd, mech warrior nerd. This is all the same vein.
To be fair, Gundam mechs look pretty freaking cool, so...
Although I'm finding more and more I'm partial to the BattleTech designs.
Yeah, gasp. You
No
do
doubt.
spend more time with it, so...
They're also more functional looking.
Oh, that's definitely true. Mobile suits would be a terrible idea. We should never make them. That's bad.
They would be cool. There was someone that challenged, someone built a Gundam here and then challenged Japan to a giant mech fight.
Yep. And Japan said it is on, bro. All of Japan has a unit.
Yep. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like 10 years ago, they actually developed a bipedal walker. So, I mean, it's useless. I don't know what you would use it for, but they have one.
So, all right, almighty host, what experience do you have?
So, like every person in America, well, not every person, as we'll find out.
Tyler's clearly the exception.
I started with Gundam Wing.
To be fair,
when it
Gundam Wing
on
was the
Toonami.
first one I ever saw.
I was really into Gundam Wing. My neighbor, who had just moved in, who we became instant friends, was way more into Gundam Wing. The part where he called me Duo and insisted I call him Hero. It was weird.
Wow. I knew a guy in high school who grew his hair like Troa, specifically because it was like Troa. So...
We were on a Gundam Mud in it would have been 2000.
What? That was a thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I knew what a new type was while Gundam Wing was out because of like various fan sites.
And clearly they're all
people
new types, right? So...
Well, then 08th MS Team came out in America right after Wing, so I watched it then. Then the original series, which I tried to watch because I was, like I said, was super into Gundam, but the original series isn't good, which is going to be a recurring theme. And it was so not good that as soon as 9/11, Toonami was like, oh, we lost all the episodes. Oh no. So then after that, I watched G Gundam and on Adult Swim, War in the Pocket, and Stardust Memory.
About that one. Oh, Stardust Memory. I haven't seen it, but that's good.
It's good until the ending when it becomes clear. It's like, wait, Gundam is super sexist, right? Let's have the female character do a bunch of things that don't make any sense and then forgive her. But up until then, 83/Stardust Memory, very good. Then I started watching Gundam Seed in its original airing on Saturday Night Toonami and really, really liked it so much that I actually followed it when it moved to 1 a.m. on Friday.
You know,
Because of low ratings.
that's a time slot I can deal with, though, so...
Well, I was 14 at the time, so it was a
even
little harder.
more.
But I did watch the final episode sleeping over at Zach's house
Wow.
on his couch.
That's devotion.
Wow.
And Zach's like, I don't
No, Zach
remember
was
that.
asleep.
Yeah, are you kidding me? When I was 14, dude, I was not staying up that late. I know that I'm the weird one, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's true. You refused to watch anime until, like, out of high school. Jeremy's screen name in most things is New Type, so...
Yeah, it is. I forgot about that. So anyway, yeah, followed Gundam Seed. Liked it so much that Gundam Seed Destiny became the first anime I watched when it came out in Japan and was quickly subtitled by fans. That was pretty disappointing.
That was a monumental mistake.
Episode by episode, I want to say it was so much worse because the first 20 episodes are so good, and the next 10 are still good, but they're setting up stuff that's never going to pay off. So those final 10 episodes, you're like, they could do it. It could all work. And then you get another clip episode, and you're like, 2 weeks ago. Why?
Is it also a one episode a week show?
Yeah.
That was
I at least got all of it in one go.
So then I watched the first couple episodes of Double Ought, thought it looked stupid. People tell me Double Ought is good.
I have
Maybe
seen,
it is.
I always forget about Double Ought. I've seen bits and pieces.
Hey, you
Which
guys
I think is actually Double O. I've always been...
No, I refer to it as Double Ought, which
I
is
know.
where you might have picked that up. Because it's probably supposed to be Double O, but Double Ought it means the same thing.
both of you guys said that you watched like the first 4 episodes of that, right?
I watched more than he
I think
did.
I watched 2.
I watched like the first 8 or something like that, I think is what I totaled out at.
So I quit Gundam for a while. Age sounded cool. I watched that. I really like Gundam Age. And then when
I've never even heard of that one.
it was started out as a video game and they liked the plot, so they just decided to take it. It's kind of a retelling of the original series Zeta and Double Zeta, but done as one series. And then I I started watching Gundam Build Fighters when we decided to do this anime. It's pretty good. You should check it out. It's completely free.
Really?
It's the same channel as, and same setup as
How
Seed.
are they making money on this?
They're not selling it in America, so they're just deciding to ad
it.
support it. It's got ads on YouTube, so
Oh.
they make some money like that.
Okay, fair enough. So,
I don't think we're going to get into the America and Gundam situation, because that could be its own episode.
the
Maybe
American
we will.
Gundam situation. That could be a bonus episode for this
Maybe.
podcast.
Also, I'd have to do a little research. But I do want to talk a little bit about the history of Gundam, even though I basically just did, talking about what I watched. Gundam Seed works because a lot of interesting influences are coming together, and the people making it have a thing to say.
That is
to the
not
same-
obvious from the first
No,
episode.
no, it's
so.
The same thing that most Gundam series.
War's
and
bad?
Things made by Bandai say.
Well, rewatching
Huh.
this series, it was really apparent to me how post 9/11 it is, which is obvious. We're living in a post 9/11 world, but that really, really struck me.
Or I find it strange that that affected Japan
Yes,
at all.
but I think that's why I find it so interesting. Is it's clearly a foreign lens on
Huh.
a post 9/11 world and reactions to it. So I want to talk about the influences on Gundam Seed. The first and biggest one, and this might seem overly obvious if you're not familiar with Gundam, is the original series Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah, watching the first episode, man.
This was originally started because, like I just said, I was super into Gundam. I didn't watch Gundam when it came to North America, and Bandai of America didn't want to bring Gundam over. They wanted to follow up Gundam Wing with G Gundam, but Bandai of Japan insisted that Gundam come over because so many of their toys and action figures and video games are based on the original series.
Makes
And
me sad that 1 Year War
forgetting
never got released.
That when the original Gundam series aired in Japan, it was canceled due to low ratings.
To be fair, if you looked at what it was running against, like Speed Racer was contemporary with it, I don't understand how it was outcompeted by that.
Well, there's Mazinger, which we
Oh
just
yeah,
talked
I forgot about Mazinger. Man.
But like 30 years later, actually it was only 20 years later, but still, that animation looked old. It was
It
really
did.
hard to dub because you couldn't do much with the lip flaps because of how old it was.
It looks super. I mean, it looks like it's a product of the 80s. Because it is! Amuro's hair is just the worst.
So when
All their
Gundam
hair.
super flopped and they heard all these reasons, they decided to remake it, and they started a project called 21st Century Gundam.
Oh, I've heard of that name.
The idea was to remake Gundam, but to include some elements from newer Gundam series, and better animation, obviously, and Western themes. So they also watched Star Wars, which was a influence on Gundam to begin with, but that they'd sort of gotten away from. And Phantom Menace is a very big visual influence later on, but stuff from the original trilogy also comes up plot-wise. And Star Trek. And in particular, the episode Space Seed really influences a bunch of the ideas in Gundam Seed, which layman Star Trek fans will know as that one episode with Khan in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But they even take the name Gundam Seed from that, and
Oh,
they
really?
take a lot of sci-fi ideas from Star Trek. They also take some general stuff from Star Trek that hasn't really shown up yet.
I mean, I like Star
Interesting.
Trek, so...
I actually kind of like Star Trek because of Gundam Seed, and kind of wish it was more Gundam Seed.
I actually don't like Star Trek, as weird as that might sound.
The original, or...
Just Star Trek in general.
It's maybe not worth watching, but the ideas they explored were fun.
Also, Gundam Wing had been a huge success in America, and it also been a huge success in Japan because it attracted a female demographic.
And
Which
there's
Gundam had never
all
had
sorts
before.
of potential yaoi there.
Well, the thing
So-
is, Bandai didn't understand why girls liked Gundam Wing.
I know exactly why
yeah,
girls like Gundam
It is because
Wing.
of the yaoi thing, but they didn't figure out until they marketed it in America. So the Gundam series between Wing and Seed are X and Turn A, which don't really have that at all. Gundam Seed specifically went for pretty boy character design and to have 5 characters. And one of the, in air quotes, problems in Gundam Wing is that there's a female partner for every male character, but the writers, by their own admission, didn't know how to do romance, so they didn't bother. Every relationship in Gundam Seed is written like a romance.
Is there a female character for duo?
Yeah,
I don't
what's
remember.
her name? There's the art chick he lives with on the colony.
Yeah, she's super cool. I can't remember
I don't
her name.
remember her.
I want to say Hilda, but that might be someone else.
I remember reading a bit of trivia because, like, everyone I knew in high school was obsessed with Gundam Wing. I guess you guys weren't obsessed with it. Zach certainly wasn't, but...
I wasn't going to admit it if I was.
That is true. I picked up a random tidbit from someone that apparently the original mangaka wrote, like, a pilot manga for this, where all the characters were originally female, and they're like, that doesn't work, so they just adapted the exact same characters into male bodies for reasons, and that's apparently the character archetypes they went with.
That explains why Catra's a pansy ass.
I love Katra.
You're the only
It's
one.
his problem that there's no air in space.
The older I get, the more I like Catra. So anyway, with all these changes, it kind of faded away from being 21st century Gundam and became Gundam Seed. But I think those are all very interesting influences on it that we should look at as we go through the series.
Yeah, I wouldn't have, well, granted, it's only the first episode, but none of that would have occurred to me, so...
So with that, we are going to watch the first episode of Gundam Seed, False Peace. One of the reasons we're starting with Gundam Seed, in addition to the fact that it's the one I really want to do, is the entire series is available for free on YouTube on the Gundam Info channel, the subtitled version of the HD re-release. If you want to dub, it exists. It's not bad. I would say it's mediocre. It came out right when dubs started to get good, and it makes some mistakes. It gets better as it goes on.
It's certainly not worth what they're charging for it now.
Yeah,
though.
the biggest problem is it's out of print. So if you want to copy, you're looking at about $300 to pick up the series.
Because it's out of print. Like, when I got it, it was still in print. So,
Fair enough.
Just type Gundam Seed Episode 1 into Google. It should come up.
I'm subscribed to the channel now just so I have easy access to it, but...
So the episode starts with...
A really cool airdrop.
A lot of Gundam series start with airdrops. You think this one really works?
It got me immediately engaged in it. I was kind of sad that they didn't follow up with it more after they entered that. They're like, for Zaft! And then they're like, and then the war was happening.
it doesn't really explain when the time frame is on this. It's like, is this when it's starting? Is this when the actual series is beginning?
So my assumption, based on the context of this, is that this is the Bloody Valentine incident.
No, this is after that.
Okay.
I was going to ask what you think that was. So
I don't know. I have no clue what this war is about or what that thing
They actually do
was.
show it when they talk about it.
They will later. But there's a lot of stuff that's not in this episode that is
that-
very interesting to me.
They show it happen, but they don't give you context. Like, they show
don't
you the
say
Bloody
this-
Valentine tragedy, but they don't tell you this is what the Bloody Valentine tragedy was.
But basically, all I'm given is, like, the war's been going for 8 months, and Zaft is surprisingly strong despite being way smaller, and I have no idea what they're fighting about.
So yeah, after the airdrop, we get basically that sort of Star Wars style intro text. It's more Gundam style. A lot of Gundams start with some just background on the setting. What Tyler said is basically it. There was the Bloody Valentine tragedy. There are two factions, the Earth Forces and the Plants.
There's a lot more time frame between them mentioning the Bloody Valentine tragedy and then them showing it to you.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not on screen while they're saying the Bloody Valentine tragedy happened.
I think that's
And also,
different
there's
with
like
the
no
dub.
context. It's basically a parallel to the original Mobile Suit Gundam, where Zeon was the colonies rebelling against Earth, and they had mobile suits, so they were superior. It doesn't really tell you that. It doesn't really tell you what the plants are, but presumably, since the other faction is the Earth Forces, you can make the assumption.
They obliquely refer to it later in the episode, but, man, and then that intro.
Yep. Then you get the intro. I think we should save the
Jeez.
intro for next week.
Okay, fair enough, because I have some things to say about that intro.
We then get a shot of
A generic space colony.
and then we get the interior. We get a news report that's saying that Gaoxing is under attack.
Like
As
this-
well as a bunch of people, like, just going about their daily lives.
Yeah, this style of report, like listening to a news report while like showing daily life, I feel is super common in slice of life anime. And then you get Kira with his like lightning hands on the keyboard.
But he's only working on half the keyboard.
We also get his mascot, Birdie, who teams up with Haro to be the mechanical mascot.
Yeah, why Birdie? I just...
They thought it was cool.
Also, Kira's coat is super impractical. Look at
Later,
that
you
thing.
get Haro. That's all it says.
Seriously, though, his coat, just terrible.
You know, like the
I
design.
don't really think it's a coat.
fine.
I think it's supposed to be a shirt.
It is a weird anime design. It's got some belts on it, like,
Like,
some
and
Final
his
Fantasy
shoulders are
character.
huge. Yeah, no, he looks like he belongs in Final Fantasy, is my big problem with it.
I'm wearing lots of belts for no reason at all.
So then his friends Tal and Muriela,
Yada.
Muriela show up, and they're like, "Hey, the professor wanted you," and he's like, "But I have so much work to do already," because they're all in college.
And he's got a sweet laptop. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that is a pretty sweet screen.
It is, but like, wouldn't it be impractical? Like, it would have to deactivate the keys when you like suck the laptop screen into it. So for those of you who
Don't
can't
care, it's really cool.
like, he's got a laptop that the screen sucks into the keyboard portion of it.
Still cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's totally cool. I
Rule
want
of cool,
one.
man. Rule of cool.
I want a phone that does that I can just have on my like wrist, and then I can just pull the screen out. And I don't know. I think
I have an anime where someone has a phone like that.
Oh well, and I think that's coming one of these days.
I just realized that kind of applies to a lot of things.
What?
I want this to happen. I have an anime for that.
It's called Aquaman. So anyway, they're talking about how Gaoxing is close to Orb, and they're worried that it's going to get attacked.
It is nice that they refer to the fact that this is a live broadcast for them, but it's a week delayed. So it's like 7 light days away. That's pretty far. That gives you kind of a scope of where the colonies are scattered, if nothing else.
They also give you the context that the nation they're from is neutral.
Yeah.
Orb is neutral, so they're not worried about it being attacked. And this is an orb colony. I guess it's not part of the plants. It doesn't really outright say that.
It's
but
apparently got state status in the Federated
Earth
States
Federation.
of Earth.
It's apparently, it's actually, I guess, separate from Earth. The Earth Federation. It's like its own
we're not
entity.
told that really here.
They're-
So.
It's implied that they have voting in their legislator, though.
Well,
so.
it's really unclear. Later on, they mention that in the dub, they actually say it's a good thing Orb is recognized by the Earth Federation, like implying they're a separate nation. But I don't think they do it in the sub.
So then we get the most romantic scene in the episode,
Oh, God.
Random flashback.
which is a flashback to
Athrun!
to Kira and his friend Athrun, when Athrun is leaving Orb to move to the plants and gave him Birdie as a
With all
going
the
away
like
gift.
cherry blossoms
Yes,
falling
so
around them.
is.
Is there I told you every relationship in Gundam Seed is written as a romance. Never more apparent than Athrun and Kira and their cherry blossom flashback.
Oh my god.
I love how many times it flashes back to that over the course of this episode, too.
Oh, you're gonna love this series then.
Yes!
I think it only goes to that actual flashback once, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
maybe.
you're right, but...
It's just super memorable because it has no freaking reason to be there.
Well, I love how Athrun's like, Kira, you're my best friend. Let me give you this mechanical, annoying bird robot to remember me by.
Oh my god, the dude hates me. I can't get rid of the damn
I
thing.
know. Birdie!
Honestly, if you gave me something like that, it'd be a sledgehammer in a week. It'd be like a Furby.
Although that does establish, he has a prior history with this guy, although we know nothing about it other than that it's vaguely romantic, apparently.
Oh, with Athrun?
Yeah. Kira's having this flashback to when Athrun and he parted ways, and he's, like, spacing out, and, like, the camera zooms back, and his friend Toll's leaning over him, and it's got, like, this... I've only ever seen this happen in anime, but, like, they have this idea that when someone's really close to you, you see them through, like, a fisheye lens. So, like, his face is all distorted like some sort of bizarre insect staring over
I gotta
his
say,
head.
I like Kira's jumping back into the corner because I've done that. I've actually done that at work, and I cause people to do that at work all the time.
All right, so then we cut to a Earth Forces ship docking in the colony.
And it's the ship's last voyage, which
Yep.
means everyone on it is due for retirement, and they're definitely not going to get killed by the end of the
Oh, I
episode.
forgot he mentioned that.
I know.
The ship has completed its final mission. Oh god, what have you done? We're doomed!
So I want to play this game. I forgot to introduce it earlier. Tyler's never seen Gundam Seed. Since this is the first episode, I want to play with him. How important is this character?
Okay.
We're going to start with Kira. That's softball pitch.
Yeah, clearly he's the main character. He's got the coat.
Tall?
Tall, I'm assuming, is dead by the end of the episode.
Okay, Mirielia,
Also dead, because they were together.
captain of ship.
Yeah.
I should have made up a name for him.
Captain Smith.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming that he's either dead or just not important.
Lieutenant Laflaga, who you're about to be introduced to.
I don't really know what happens to him, but he's got a name, and he's clearly got... I actually assumed that he was the Char equivalent in this, and he's, like, double-crossing already. But then, like 5 minutes from now, you see the actual Char equivalent, so...
With his mask and everything.
Yeah, with his mask.
Mulaflaga is a blonde lieutenant. He was supposed to escort this ship on its final journey. He's very concerned about the military outside. He says they're safe because this nation's neutral, and Mu thinks that's a joke, which is, I think, a good insight both into his character and the situation politically.
I love how Captain Guy's like, they wouldn't dare attack us. We're neutral.
Well, he doesn't say they wouldn't dare attack us, we're neutral, because he's actually Earth Forces. He means Orb is neutral. They wouldn't
Yeah.
attack this
See,
because...
he didn't see the first episode of Gundam.
Yeah, he missed it.
But no, clearly LaFlaga's a main character, so...
He mentions G-pilots. They don't really explain what that is right now.
I assume the Gundam pilots, because
Yeah,
that's
like-
our only mobile suit, right?
So then we cut to two ships out into space.
Just kind of chilling out back there.
And then we see the actual Char equivalent, who is Super Char.
Yeah.
In fact, his lines are even very similar to Char's in the first episode. They're a little different because Char is trying to be conservative, whereas Raul de Crusade, who is the Char equivalent, how important do you think he's going to be, Tyler?
Very. I mean, he's got a mask, clearly.
Clearly, he's important. He's got a mask.
Yeah. That's actually, in my notes, I have sweet masks.
Okay,
that was that
I-
note. So.
What about Addis?
Who?
He's the captain of the, what is this, the Versalius? Or is it,
The Vesalius, I think, is the one they're on right now.
Who?
His name's Addis. He's the captain of the ship.
Who?
Okay.
All right.
Enough.
I don't know who this person is, so...
Unlike Char, who just wants to do recon, he thinks it's very important they steal and or destroy the prototype mobile suits that the Earth forces obviously have here. So
And then they send out some sweet Zakus. I love the designs.
they're Jins, and I think they're pretty good too. I don't like them as much as the Zaku, to be honest, but
Really? With the
Yeah.
like the awesome cross-back fly
And they have
bar?
swords.
They do have swords. Do they use the swords in this?
Not in
Episode?
this episode. I don't
Okay.
think.
No, no, they do actually. We'll get to it later. Okay, so then we cut back to Kiratal and Mirielia. They see Flay and her two friends.
So, man, Flay.
Flay and her two friends.
Yep.
Her two friends are one character.
They're dead.
They're
dead.
They're dead. What about Flay?
Clearly,
She dead
Flay's
too?
she's the love interest, so clearly she lives for most of the season. If it works like the original Gundam, though, she'll get killed after the Char equivalent gets a crush on her, and then Kira and Char equivalent will scream at each other for the entire series about it.
Okay. So they run into Flay and her two friends. Her friends are teasing her because she got a letter from Cy
Some
Argyle.
guy.
At the freaking sweet taxi bus station thing.
Oh, that's a common thing in Gundam. Gundam, there are just cars you can drive. You don't own a car. They're like public transport cars.
Yeah,
There's,
they're like
but there's no
rental cars.
driver. They just drive themselves.
Yep. One of these days, man. It's coming.
Sunglasses chick.
Also, I love, Sunglasses Chick, I'm assuming is dead because, like, she has no important, you never see her for the rest of the episode after this. And, like, oh no.
You see her without the sunglasses.
That's possible. It's possible I didn't recognize her without the sunglasses. So, as we're standing on the street, totally not military guys in the middle of the street, just like, hey, can I walk by you?
To be fair, they're standing at the station. And again, that's something that the dub does a little better because in the sub they ask, if you're not moving on, like, can we move past you? In the dub they actually do say, if you're not getting in, can we?
I think that's mostly a tone thing. The tone is harder to tell on a foreign language.
Yeah, that
I-
actually seems like a very Japanese way of asking that to me. But
That's fair.
So then Flay goes off and Tull teases Kira about having a romantic rival.
I love how his romantic rival's last name is Argyle. Argyle!
Hey, Cy Argyle is great.
I really hope he's in an Argyle, like a sweater vest
You've seen
Gundam.
him. You just didn't realize it.
Probably
He's
not.
in this episode. So then, you know,
Is he
obviously,
computer lab guy?
Yeah, he's the
Okay.
guy with
Obviously
glasses.
not military.
Obviously not military people talk about how there are people their age on the front lines, and,
And they're like,
it's
yeah,
very
that's
Gundam.
depressing.
They're a bit older than the other characters, obviously.
Then we see some red and green guys infiltrating the colony.
It's Christmas.
Oh,
they have
God.
sweet jetpacks.
They're sent as elves.
Someone set them up the bomb.
They infiltrate the colony, and then
Somehow. I don't know how no one noticed them,
they don't have human-sized proximity alarms.
apparently, but they've got jetpacks.
And it looked like a secondary vent that somebody opened that wasn't supposed to be allowed to be
I'm
opened.
claiming the main engineer of this colony did a poor job designing the sensors.
And apparently these three, Mirialital and Kira, work in a secure lab.
No, there are students at a university that does classified research.
Yeah, it does I don't want to say a poor job, but they are they're
like
doing
robotic
research for
students.
the university, but they're also like helping the military, and I don't think they know it, so we don't know it.
Yeah, they're doing robotics research, but clearly it's implied that the professor is working on the Gundam project and using their research to help make that, which is why totally a guy in the corner is
Totally
there
a
visiting
guy
them.
in like the 50s chimney cleaner hat.
Yeah, she's totally dressed as a paper boy. That's true.
So yeah, here we meet Kigali, whose name we don't learn yet. She's totally not a girl.
We don't learn it for a long time. now
Sai,
that I think
who's
about
like
it.
the guy with the glasses and the hair.
Like in the orange pinkish suit.
Yeah, and then Kuzi, who doesn't get a name, who's the other guy. Okay, so Kigali first. How important?
Yeah, clearly very. And she's got main character written all over her. She's like ominously standing in the corner. Clearly a main character.
Sai
I didn't even realize he was a guy. I assume he's dead. So
and Kuzi, who does not have his name.
also not even a guy. I assume he's dead.
Okay,
Like they don't correlate the fact that this guy's Sai.
I think they call him that, but they don't.
They
maybe
ask him
don't
about the letter.
Yeah.
And I assumed it from that, but so they walk into a robotics lab while guys are setting them up with a bomb.
Yeah.
More infiltration.
We see a shot of a ship that looks a lot like the light base from Gundam, and they're doing infiltration stuff. This is cut against the people in the robotics lab doing some like robot work. They mentioned Morgan Rate, which is the company they're kind of working for.
Oh, I thought that was a person.
Ah,
No,
fair
Morgan
enough.
Rate is a company.
It's on a few of the like it's written on
Oh, okay.
some of the equipment.
People putting bombs
But-
down.
The Christmas invaders start planting some bombs. Tall starts teasing Kira about the letter, and he doesn't want to make a fuss out of it.
Because Sai's a cool guy.
Just realized Kira has like bell bottoms that he's belted in place.
Yep. And for some reason, like, totally not a guy, decides to try to leave the room and finds... Is that, like, the door to the lab that she's going through?
I have
don't-
no idea. She
They don't
tries
really imply. She tries to
do
open a
something.
door that doesn't open.
And then the two ships go to attack the
Yeah.
colony, and the people in the colony start like freaking out, and they're like,
Understandably.
Totally
And
the
then we get
Vesalius,
the,
yeah. That was totally the Vesalius that they're on.
then we get the eye catch
Can I just say really quick how the return from commercial portion of that is so totally disparate with everything else we've seen in the show so far?
What's all the Haros and Bubbles and the
it's
spinning
way too
girl?
happy.
It's changed for the HD version. The original version, the return is the same as the
Oh,
We'll
really?
Be Right Back eye catch. Hello, this is Jeremy, host of It's a Gundam, trying very hard not to just do a Justin McElroy impression right now. I want to thank everyone for listening to the first episode of our podcast, or listening to it again if you're a Last Time on Video Games listener. And to help launch this podcast, there were a few things I wanted to do. First off, if you're listening to this the week it's released, we're going to be doing 5 episodes this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Just like if you watched Toonami in the 90s, and really the early 2000s, not the 90s, they'd have an episode every week. They didn't do that for Gundam Seed, but, same difference. We'd also really like to get engagement with this podcast, if possible. So we have a few prizes we're going to be giving away. First off, we have a Master Grade Freedom Gundam 2.0 model kit. That's kind of the biggest prize we've got. It's a very good model kit. I have one myself that I definitely didn't just leave sitting in a box. I definitely built it. Well, I built half of it anyway. It's a very cool model kit. One of my favorites. The Freedom Gundam is absolutely my favorite mobile suit in all of Gundam. So it's a great model to start with, or if you have a collection, it's great to work on. If you're not into Gundam modeling, though, we also have Gundam the 08th MS team on both Blu-ray and DVD. And we'd like to give all 3 of these away to our listeners, the Blu-rays, the DVDs, and the Freedom Gundam. So to do that, all that we ask for now is that you send us an email at gundam@lasttimeonvideogames.com telling us what you like about Gundam Seed, or what you don't like about Gundam Seed. It's a little bit divisive. But just a paragraph or so we know you're a real person and not a robot, to gundam@lasttimeonvideogames.com. We'll read the good emails out, and everyone who sends, like I said, about a paragraph, at least a couple sentences, will be entered into a drawing to win. And there might be a few other ways you can enter throughout the week if you keep listening to these episodes. We will be deciding the winners of those 3 prizes on Thursday, August 16th. So we're going to need all entries by Wednesday the 15th. And then we will announce them on episode 7, which will come out on Monday, August 20th. This is going to be a show that comes out every Monday after the 5 episodes for the first week. So I will let you guys get back to the episode. Hopefully you're enjoying it. And yeah, if you want to check out our other podcasts, you can do so at lastpodcasts.com. That's also where you can check out old episodes of this, or where you can find links to our Discord if you want to talk to us in real time instead of using that old fancy email. Our Twitter is LTOV Gundam. I'm not on Twitter very much, but I'm going to try to be there more if you want to send us a direct message or something. I really hope you guys are enjoying. We've been working on this podcast for almost 2 years, which is almost embarrassing to say. And this old episode isn't quite as good as I remember, but hopefully it's good enough for you, our listeners. And yeah, I have no idea how to sign this off, so I'm just going to play the eye catch, and old Jeremy will start talking again. Yeah.
So for those of you who aren't watching it, the return from the commercial break eye catch is like Flay dancing around in a field
That's
of
not Flay.
bubbles.
That's not
Okay.
Flay. That's not Flay.
What?
This is a new character who's not in this episode.
You can't have 2 girls with pink hair.
Flay's
Flay
hair is
has
red.
dark pink hair.
That's dark. We have. Okay, I've seen red versus blue, so I know pink is lightest red. Red is not dark pink.
Well, actually, it's not quite. I mean, it would be reddish. It'd be more closer to purple, though, in my opinion. But maybe that's just how I see it.
Fair enough. So not Flay, I guess, is dancing around in a field of bubbles.
Then we've got the captain being like, "Oh God,
Captain
we're
No
screwed."
Name is like, hey, we should do something about the fact that these ships are attacking us.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or does anybody else think that no matter if you're in space or not, having somebody working upside down is a bad idea?
That's good for your. I don't know. No, it's a bad idea. Anyway, the Zap vessels won't respond to the colony people. They
There's, obvious
blast
static
at them.
interference.
They call the Earth military, and Mulaflaga tells Luke and Gale to get ready to launch.
Is his name Luke? I couldn't remember. I thought it was something
How
else.
important do you think Luke and Gale are? They die this episode.
Yeah, say who?
They die immediately. Is it just me, or does anybody else find it really
are
weird that
they
you
the
need
guys-
a catapult for a freaking space
I
ship?
really like it.
I like the idea. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you can just launch right there. Hit the button.
When are you
gas,
going to have
go.
time to say your name, your mobile suit's name, and then say launching? So
Do they do that in this show?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Okay.
The ships launch some of the Jins, which are the Kulzakus.
And Orb counterattacks with like mining robots.
They're called Mistrals.
They're basically
the
balls.
ball from
And,
the original series.
3 Mobius.
Yeah, well,
Actually, those are Mobius. I don't remember if Moo's
Moose is a
things
Mobius.
are Mobius.
They call the white base ship, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll come out if we need to."
Go Heliopolis!
We're not supposed to go anywhere yet.
Yeah, and then the bombs blow up and kill poor captain of the ship.
Well,
After
yeah,
he
there's her
tells
name.
After he tells Sunglasses Chick
And,
who's now in
other
uniform,
guy-
to go get
Yeah, no,
Sunglasses
I
chicken
see
somebody.
that now. I just didn't recognize her.
the balls get beat up because they're balls, only they're not even spherical.
They're target practice. they honestly look like those kind of targeting drones. Then we get a bunch of shots of just general
Idyllic
life
life.
in the.
Almost all of it is people we've seen, except the very end of it is some random guy playing drums. And
It's
I
a bunch
don't-
of it's like a street band. And then we get the Gundams being moved out.
Oh, we get the ship's name, the Archangel.
Mechanic chick does say go
And
Archangel.
they say it somewhere else too. Someone else mentions the Archangel.
The colonies in general disarray.
Yeah,
It's
there's
not good.
earthquakes. The kids are like, "What's going on?"
Somebody thinks it's an asteroid. Totally not a girl. Is panicked.
Then Moo decides to launch because
I don't know
So-
why, but I like his
something
purple and black flight suit. And
It's
his
cool.
helmet.
It's
His
well
helmet
designed.
is pretty bamfin. Pretty
Pretty
badass.
bamfin.
And
It's pretty bamfin.
the Earth forces have Mobiuses, which are basically jets. Moo has a cool orange one with funnels. It's the Mobius Zero.
Oh,
And
is that
we
what those are
totally
supposed
see
to be?
we totally see the Jins kicking the crap out of all the flight.
Yeah, so
things.
Orb is clearly losing the fight.
Losing, they've lost the fight.
Someone set them up the bomb. Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, they're just mobile suits hanging
People
out
are
in the
still
colony.
confused that mobile suits are showing up. We get the infiltration team again.
The Christmas team sees the 3 mobile suits that they're trying to get onto the Archangel.
Which are just on a truck in a field for some reason.
Oh my god, that's freaking hilarious. He's the one dude that doesn't have a
So it gives us a close-up of like all the commandos who are going in to steal the mobile suits, and one guy doesn't have a face in the
To be
shot.
fair, none of the guys in green have
Well,
faces.
one of the guys
But
in
the
red
guys
who
in
are
red-
clearly like special guys don't have faces or have faces, but the one dude.
Who dies? Spoiler. So they all get ready to go commando time, and
They get ready to go
I can't
steal some
remember that
Gundams.
guy's
That's
name.
Miguel.
How important do you think Miguel is, Tyler?
Yeah,
not,
Miguel.
not at all.
We see the Jins and they're like just regular sword because one of them cuts a Mobius in half.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I think
about
I think that's Luke. We see
Who cares which one is Luke and which one is Gale?
Well, I think
they're cool
I think
names.
his name comes up. We see Moo going to town on a Jin. He doesn't actually kill it though. Like I forgot about that. He doesn't actually kill the thing.
What
Sorry,
I've
my bad.
always wondered about mobile suits is how could they possibly be more mobile
There it goes.
than a jet?
Okay, so the idea, and this is reverse engineered,
Yeah, see-
in the original Mobile Suit Gundam, is because of the way momentum works in space, it's a lot more fuel efficient if you can turn by moving an arm instead of needing a thruster.
That's true.
And so that's basically the entirety of it.
Oh well.
Also-
okay.
I gotta say, before we were on the mics, I totally told you they do have somebody actually talking to her, giving her a name. It's right there.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So I didn't realize they were talking to her. I don't know why.
She
but-
she turns around and responds. Okay, how important do you think she is?
No, she didn't respond. She's just like, "Oh, explosion."
No, she turns to look at him when they call out the name.
Yeah, how important is Lieutenant Ramius?
I assume she was just mechanic chick, but she's like the only person in the field she's working in who survives the episode. So fairly.
Okay.
All right.
Is there a Gundam character you think she's the equivalent to?
Oh, that's a good question.
I should have started with this, but
Yeah, well, so I don't remember the original Gundam well enough to probably have done that. God, what's her name? The blonde chick who...
Sayla?
Yes, thank
Huh,
you.
okay. So anyway, they're getting attacked. They run away from the trucks, and she starts taking command, giving people orders.
Tells them to get the X-105 and X-303, whatever the heck that means.
I mean, they're clearly...
ready for
This is a
combat.
show about Gundams. Clearly they're Gundams.
Yeah, but which ones?
I don't know.
So the kids from the university start evacuating. They need to go get the shelters. because
Except for
Zap's
Kira
attacking.
and not a chick.
Not a chick starts running the other way, so Kira chases after her. He's like, no, I'm the main character. I have to get...
You're not supposed to do anything interesting without me. That's pretty much what it looks
They
like.
run together down a hallway, and all of Kira's friends are like, Kira!
And he's like, BRB, bros.
BRB, saving life. We get some Jins wreaking havoc, blowing stuff up.
Basically clearing the way for the commandos to steal these suits that are just like on the highway for some reason.
They actually
Yeah.
explained it. They were
Yeah.
trying to move them to the Archangel. Like,
Yeah.
they were on the move.
I kind of assumed that
And
that
like
was the
even
case.
white-haired guy says that was the plan, that they attacked them so that they would move the suits out into the open and they could steal them. Which they then do because this is a Gundam series.
Of course. I love that the guys defending the mobile suits have no concept of tactics, so they're just standing out in the open while people are attacking them from the sky.
Yeah, like, there's cover available, too. Like, there was a guy standing there rather than taking cover behind the car. It's pretty clear which one that guy is. Like, get a nice close-up of the guy and you can't see his face. It's like, we didn't actually feel like animating this dude's face because he's not going to be around very long anyway.
Anyway, Kira and Not-a-Chick are in the hallway arguing, and then, like, an explosion knocks Not-a-Chick's hat off, and Kira's like, "You're a girl?"
She's like, what the hell did you think I was? I have these boobs, and this feminine face, and these big wide anime eyes.
And a female voice. Although, to be fair,
she hasn't actually spoken the entire time they've been around.
yeah, she did. She said, "Why are you following me?" before we started.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Also, Kira's eyes are way more anime eye than hers.
Okay, fair enough.
Just look
She
at
has like angry anime eyes. He has like dumb, I'm confused anime eyes.
She gets very emotional, and Kira's like, nah, I'll help you. It's cool.
And she's like, "I didn't want to get trapped here. I just wanted to, incriminate my father?" I don't really understand what her plan was.
It becomes important later.
Yeah, I don't, to be fair, I don't think we're supposed to. Anyway, the Christmas
not
team
supposed to
continues
have-
attacking. They kill a bunch of Earth soldiers. Lieutenant Mechanic is shooting a machine gun.
There is a moment that we're not going to be able to hear because we've got this thing on mute right now, but did you hear the click? Like, she turns around and a guy dies as she's firing a gun that seems to be on empty.
The last thing she does, she fires 2 shots and continues firing after Kira warns her that there's a guy behind her. That's what I remember where she...
No, that's what it does, but when she turns around and, like, she does it, and then the shot goes to him after the gun starts clicking on empty.
Yes.
And so it looks like she kills him with a gun that's on empty.
I just assumed that she managed to get him with the last of the clip.
No,
and
like,
just got
it makes
lucky.
perfect sense when you actually sit down and think about it, but when you're not paying that close attention and you see that, it's like, oh, wait, hang on, did they script their timing on this?
Anyway, Kira and...
Totally a chick.
Actually a chick.
End up at the factory, and they see 2 totally Gundams, and Kigali's all like, "Oh, it's the
She
Earth
apparently
Force's
knew it.
new mobile weapons. Father, you betrayed us!" And Lieutenant Mechanic shoots at them.
Lieutenant
and Kira
Robbie
is like,
almost
"Do not
kills them."
cry. Running is what we're doing. I'm the doctor now."
Is she actually the one that fires at them, or
I
is it
assume
somebody
so.
else?
It does look like that, but then she's like, "Oh wait, those were children. What the hell?"
Well, she wasn't actually, like, the thing is, like, even her sight wasn't on where they were standing, is the question. And then we see, that one is the duel, I want to say.
So,
Which is
okay.
basically a copy of the original
We actually
Gundam.
get this really cool scene of Zaft forces, the commandos stealing the first 3 Gundams, and they all, like, stand up, and we get this, like, nice headshot of all 3 of them. My problem at this point, they don't have any paint, so they're
Yes.
all just
That's
monochromatic.
explained.
This
That's
is
explained.
actually a reference to the original Gundam, in that when the guy who made Gundam, whose name I wrote down in my notes and cannot think of right now, Yoshiko Tomino, created Gundam. He didn't like that mechs were colorful because he didn't think the military would use colorful mechs. So the original
Arguably.
design for the gun cannon, Gundam, and gun tank were all monochromatic. But
You
like,
know
no,
what?
that's a terrible design. Let's put some color on that.
It doesn't sew well. That's actually really underwhelming in this because they don't look at all distinct. I actually like the Jins at this point a lot better than the Gundams.
And I guess I can spoil it to it. When they're on, basically, they're in color.
They don't have their armor turned on.
What?
Yeah.
That is the best way to phrase it. I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or any sense at all.
But
But that's,
I mean, you
that's
saw the
totally what
opening
it is.
sequence. They do have color.
Yeah,
But
no, I
right
know.
now they don't.
It's not that they don't have paint on them.
So the 3 Zaft commandos who don't have names yet, who steal them
White-haired
are,
guy is clearly
That's the
important.
Buster.
Okay.
Second-
Blonde guy.
Blonde guy, I'm assuming, is going to die halfway through the series.
Okay.
If not almost immediately.
And green-haired guy.
There's a chick.
No, that's a guy.
What?
That's one of the things. That's like one of the few voice actors for the original I don't like. He's clearly a guy in the dub. He definitely sounds like a chick in the subtitled version.
Yeah, the entire commando team is, or at least the 5 red guys are guys.
All male.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I assume that was female both due to the voice and the face, but
And I actually can't remember what that one's called.
in that case, green-haired guy is probably going to live a while. I think longer than the second guy.
Okay. So yeah, they're like, hey, we got to get these to Commander Le Creuset. Atherin, you and Rusty go find the other 2.
Also, with my having seen the end of the episode powers, I happen to know that white-haired guy is important because he's in the end credits. So
Very
he's
good.
also
Very
in the
good.
intro. So
Yes, he is. So anyway, Kira and Chick run over to a shelter, and they're like, hey, we're full. And he's like, hey, my friend is a chick. Can you at least get her in here?
It's super sexist. They're like, she's just
And
a
like,
girl.
even like the way he like grabs her and puts her into it.
Does
It so
he
is.
actually say that in this episode? Or in the sub, does he actually refer to her as
He's
just
like,
a
"My friend-"
girl?
No, I think he says my friend is a girl.
No, he basically says it's okay. She's a girl, and they're like, yeah, no, we can do that. So I'm thinking either they're extremely chivalrous or extremely rapey.
Well,
So-
it's much funnier in the dub because in the dub he refers to her as she's just a girl.
she won't use that many resources, guys.
She's also really passive here, which I think is her being in shock. But
Yeah, it seems
like,
really weird because she could have totally not been shoved into the elevator. Anyway, Kira shoves her in an elevator, and
And then runs off.
The guys in the shelter say, "Go around the corner. There are more shelters." So he goes and runs around the corner, warns mechanic Ramius.
Someone about to pop her in the back.
So she kills a guy, thanks him, and he's like, "Don't worry about me. I'm just gonna go over to this explosion."
Again, that's another one that's kind of phrased better in dub. Again, they handle it a bit better because she refers to it as there's nothing
neither one-
beyond that door.
neither of them really sell the point, I don't think. I do think the dub is better, but they're both
I think it sells the
confusing.
point when if someone tells you there's nothing left beyond that door.
So
There's nothing but a door there. No, duh, it's a door. It's right there.
I just
Kira
assumed
just
that-
totally acrobats off of like a third story.
To be fair, he trips
Walkway.
up when he lands. And
Yeah, but he
there's a nice
jumps
thump
off a
sound
third
effect.
story walkway and
He's
doesn't
an anime
break
character on a
anything.
space colony.
See, we
there are
gotta-
people working upside down.
Yeah, they might.
We got a guy taking cover. We got a guy with some tactical sense. The only reason is this guy's got a name. He gets a kill.
Yeah, he's Sergeant Johnny of the Gundam.
No, he's Hamana.
Doesn't he die in like 2 minutes though?
Well, clearly a main character kills him. He's got a name. He's a character. He gets a kill. A guy just dies.
Yeah, I think that's Brian.
Yeah, because Hamana dies specifically later.
So my assumption about the exploding door, where she's like, "There's just a door over there," then it explodes. I assumed that the guys in the shelter are like, "Yeah, there are more shelters down the way. We'll just take your girl here."
It does kind of come off that way to me. Like, I don't think, like, yeah, we'll take your girl, but I think they were lying. They're like, man, we're so full. We don't want another guy.
Yeah,
Especially
but,
not two guys.
but we'll take a chick.
I do think, though, that it was...
What if they
like,
can't tell
there-
that she's a girl?
There were more shelters. I think, again, it's a tonal thing, because I think it sounds better in the dub, that it does sound more like, there are more shelters over there. Can you get there?
Yeah, no, and I think that's what they were implying, but from my perspective, it seemed like they're just trying to steal his girl and get him to go away.
Well, anyway, as Zach was saying, Hamina kills Rusty, and Athens like, no, Rusty!
Boom!
The one guy
Headshot,
who
too.
didn't have a face earlier.
And then kills Hamina, so Lieutenant Ramos is like, no, Hamina! And then Athern shoots her, and everything goes sepia tone.
I
which-
had this-
It's not even sepia tone. It's like we lose color, we get black, white, and blue.
It's like a photo negative.
Yeah,
That's
basically.
the better way to put it.
After Ramius gets shot, and I actually have this written down in my notes as Negaverse Atherin, as Atherin rushes them with a knife. Although up until this point, I did not realize this was Atherin until Kira's like, Atherin!
At least in this case, it made sense why she wasn't taking cover because Kira's just kind of laying on a shoulder pad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Kira goes to tend to her. Athern sees Kira. They both freak out. They flash back to their
Oh,
romance.
I forgot the flashback didn't show up again there. And we get color back.
And they're like, wait, Athern? Wait, Kira? And then there's an
And then everything
explosion.
blows up.
Yeah, and then Ramius pulls out a gun and tries to shoot Atherin, and he's like, well, I'm bailing. And so he gets away with the other Gundam, right?
Yeah,
So
well, he gets into the other Gundam at this point.
Orb is left with just the one that Ramius and Kira, who got pulled in by Ramius, fall into, right?
Yeah, as an explosion it goes over the cockpit. Yes.
And we get that really nice, like, old Japanese style, like, splash painting of the Gundam in
Yeah,
an
and
explosion.
the ending theme starts to kick in as
Well,
the
cool
Gundam
Gundams don't look at
starts to stand
explosions.
up.
That is true. Cool Gundams do not look at explosions.
We
Yeah.
got another nice slow stand-up scene with a bunch of explosions.
Honestly, I really like that one more just because of the fact that you get to see all the things popping off and it basically breaking the chains, holding it down as it's getting up because
no, this
obviously
last-
there's no one to unlash it.
Well, this is the heroic Gundam, so we have to get, like, the fancy stand-up. That's actually a really good scene where the Gundam's standing up.
Yeah, and that's where the episode ends.
So one thing I notice about this is that the art for the mobile suits is amazing. Like, if you actually look at the detail where all the mobile suits are rendered, like in the intro and pretty much anytime they're on screen, they look really good.
I think one of the reasons I like Gundam Seed so much is that the animation really is on a different level from previous Gundam Seed
And especially
series.
with the fact that they did it through animation, they didn't resort to 3D, which I've seen a lot of series do that when they want to get a bunch of detail. They resort to a 3D modeling for whatever it is they're trying to do, so you have a 3D against the 2D background.
I remember the one with the Liger suit.
Zoids.
Zoids, yeah.
thank you.
Zoids
Definitely
did that.
had a lot of that.
Before we go on, Athern, how important?
Oh, super important. He's
You
going to
think
be
this-
screaming Akira the entire
Do
series.
you think he's going to make it through the series?
I would imagine.
Okay.
Either that or he's going to die tragically at Kira's hands.
Do you think Kira's gonna make it through the whole series?
Oh yeah, no, he's got
All right.
Amuro replacement written all over him.
To be fair, Amuro is supposed to die in the original Mobile Suit Gundam,
That
but
is
it got
true.
canceled.
So for those who don't know, there's most things do this, but especially anime tend to do what's called in-between animation. So they'll draw like the big things that are supposed to be eye-catching, and then another studio generally animates everything that goes in between the stills,
Yes,
basically. And that's usually a result of taking images out of the manga from which a thing is adapted. In this, the between animation is as good, if not better, as the actual stills. It's damn
And
good.
part of that is it's the first episode. Part of it, this is an HD redo. They redrew the scenes that were bad in a lot of
Okay.
cases.
This one also was a series that wasn't a manga first.
Yeah, no, and I kind of assume that, which is my big thing about the art being so good is that the characters look terrible by
Do
comparison
you
to
not like
everything
the
else.
character designs, or do you think they're poorly animated?
I think the character designs are fine. I mean, they're a little Final Fantasy for a Gundam series, which
Well, they were trying to appeal to girls.
okay, fair enough, and they did like Final Fantasy 13, although that wasn't out yet by the time
Yeah.
this was. Anyway, my big thing is that the animation of the characters looks like it's done by a different team than the team who did everything else.
Which might be true. I didn't notice that in the dub that I own, but that's also not the HD remake. They might not have done as much touch-up on the characters.
I got
in the HD.
over it by the end of the episode, but I found it really jarring that like the background was better drawn than the actual characters. So, and like the Gundams, which are in motion, are better drawn than the actual characters.
To
I
be
don't-
fair, the Gundams are kind of the main thing.
So we're left off with no Gundam fight. There is a little mobile suit action outside of the space colony.
Yeah, there were definitely some explosions on a scale from 1 to Big Zam shooting stuff. I give that like, I don't know, a couple of DOMs maybe.
Not till Destiny.
But what do you think of this episode? Does it make you want to see more?
Oh yeah, I actually really liked this episode. I had some nitpicks with it, but overall it got me hooked. I want to watch what happens. I had a hard time actually closing the browser and not watching the second episode.
Yeah, that's why I watch Gundam Build Fighters. I just watched this entire series, but like I said, I really like this series, so I wondered if it applied to.
Clearly, I liked it. I bought it.
You didn't watch the first episode and then buy it, did you? Did
No,
you
I
buy it,
watched
like,
the whole
on my
series.
recommendation? Oh, okay.
I watched the whole thing through Netflix.
Oh, okay.
So, getting it through Netflix, and then I found out that I could buy it from somebody, so I did.
Yeah, I mean, if it makes you want to watch
no.
more, I think that's that's what the first episode should do.
Yeah, no, it definitely accomplished that task. It was a good introduction to what's being set up, even though I don't know anything. Although that might be why I like it, because it didn't give me...
Yeah.
It gave me enough information to
It
make
doesn't
me
tell you what the
curious.
Bloody Valentine tragedy is, and I wondered how you'd respond to that. What do you want to know? What are your questions? What do you wanna see?
Mostly what the hell they're at war about. I kind of felt like that could have been a piece of information given in the beginning.
Well, again,
but-
they gave you the information why they're fighting.
They give you the
just didn't
proper
tell you why
nouns.
it's important.
They tell you, they don't show you.
Well, like...
No, they
what's-
show you. They just don't tell you why anybody
My question
cares.
is, like, what's
And
Zaf's
they
motivation
connected.
for rebelling?
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
And we'll see. And that's one of the things that make this series, I think, better than Gundam.
Clearly-
Even though in Gundam it's a fine motivation.
The intro where they have the planet drop makes it clear that the people who are fighting for Zaft are almost fanatically devoted to them. So, I don't know why, though. I don't know why Athrun was like, hey, have this sweet bird, I'm gonna go fight with the Zaft army now. Like,
That comes up later, too. And they actually kind of...
Because
actually,
Kira is Totes his boyfriend and he has to go leave to space.
Actually, I think
actually,
they explain. Actually, I think at the same time they explain why they're all confused. You actually get a lot of information as to the reason for the war.
Do you think that throws too many proper nouns at you?
oh no, I didn't have proper
think-
noun inundation at all.
You think a lot of people are dying, though, so...
Yeah, that is true. I assume that almost everyone who wasn't named, and some of the people who were named, are just dead on this colony at the end of
And
the
quite a few
episode.
people who weren't named.
Well, Rusty! Poor Rusty! I think we can all agree that Rusty is the most tragic death of this war.
Nah, Hamina.
Yeah, that is true. Hamina
got a kill first.
Hamina.
He's got a neutral KDA. He was clearly carrying the Earth forces.
Although Rusty killed a lot of guys on the way up, so...
Are we sure Rusty actually got those kills?
Well, it's implied that he was on the team that got the kills, so yeah, that's a good point. Also, how do you, like, is calculating a KDR really make any sense, given that they only have one life?
I saw someone post Kira's war record. Like, it's in my YouTube, like, recommended now. It's just, like, a list of everyone he killed over the course of...
Ridiculously high. Doesn't he get a kill the grunts button eventually?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And then his-
Defeat the grunts button.
And then in Destiny, he gets a kill all of the grunts button.
Oh, right. You guys are here. You might be able to do something. Go over there.
So yeah, that was the first episode of Gundam Seed. Obviously, I like it a lot. I do think it's a little slow. I actually rewatched the first episode of Gundam, Zeta Gundam, and Gundam Wing
for
to compare
comparison.
it to it. I think Gundam Wing does a better job, honestly.
Gundam Wing has a pretty
No,
good
no
first
machine
episode.
gun for him. Shoot him down.
That said, it accomplished its goal. I am now curious as to what's going on, and I want to watch more of it, so.
Well, very good. So you'll be here next time, and hopefully, listener, you will be too when we watch episode 2. Its name is Gundam. That's the name of the episode.
Not, it's a Gundam!
Cool.
All right. If you liked what you heard, you can head over to our website, www.lasttimeonvideogames.com. There you can find all our future episodes, hopefully, as well as the other podcast we do, Last Time on Video Games, where we talk about old video games, one a week. Usually 90s era games that are now available on the Wii Virtual Console. Sometimes we do other stuff, though. If you'd like to email us, you can do that at Gundam@lasttimeonvideogames.com. And I hope you'll tune in next week.
Bye.